Dahlias provide a real punch of color to the garden throughout the summer, and they hold their showy blooms right up to the first frost. They come in a wide variety of colors and stand out in their beauty, but in a cold climate that experiences winter frost, they will not survive the winter. Dahlias grow from tubers. When exposed to a cycle of freeze and thaw, the tubers will rot. If you live in a climate where the ground experiences freeze and thaw, you can save your prized dahlia tubers over the winter in a sheltered location and replant them again in spring after the last frost so you can enjoy them year after year. It is easy, so come along and we will show you how you can save your dahlias. You will need a shovel, pruners, containers of your choice, peat moss or sand as the medium, a hose, ground cinnamon as an option, liquid fungicide as an option, and tape and a marker for labeling. As soon as frost appears, dahlia leaves will begin to blacken and flower buds will show signs of rot. Look for signs of dead growth on your dahlias. In our location, it is in the month of November. When you see this happening, prune the plants down to about 6 to 8 inches from the ground and leave them in the ground for another 4 to 8 days. This will induce new eyes to form on the tubers. These eyes resemble the eyes commonly seen on potatoes. They will then grow quickly into new stems next spring. After 4 to 8 days, dig the tubers with the remaining stems out of the ground. Do this carefully so you don't break any part off or sever the fleshy tubers. Use a shovel rather than a fork spade and dig from a 12-inch radius around the plant. The shovel will cut through the thin roots that grow off of the tubers and will lift the clump encased in the soil, whereas the fork spade might pry on the roots and slice through the fleshy tubers. Next, hose off most of the soil. Don't be afraid to use quite strong water pressure and gently rub soil off with your fingers. The soil will gradually release its hold. Clean off as much soil as you can. One plant, you can often get 3 plants or up to as many as there are tubers. All you need to produce a plant is a tuber with a tiny eye on it. This is a wonderful way to enlarge your collection or give plants away to friends. After cleaning and dividing the tubers, lay them in a sheltered, ventilated area for a few hours to dry. Don't leave them for too long because the tubers will dry too much, begin to shrivel, and become soft. You want the tubers to be fairly firm when you pack them up. A few hours or up to a day is sufficient time for drying. Before you pack them up, use clean and sharp pruners. Prune off all the thin roots that hang off of the tubers, as well as the damaged or rotten tubers. Take time to examine and decide what is there, what you will keep, and what you will discard. Any part that seems like it is bound to rot over the next few months in storage should be cut off. Otherwise, it will set mold and infect the healthy parts as well. Keep in mind that if your goal is to grow dinner plate-sized blooms, you want to avoid growing a bushy plant that will produce too many blooms. Remember, many flowers on a plant are smaller flowers. If a clump of tubers becomes too crowded, it will grow many stems, which will produce many flowers that will not become very large. To thin out your clump of tubers, cut off the darker colored ones. First, those are the last year's tubers that will not produce as well as the lighter colored, newer ones. Tubers grow every year off the old ones, much like potatoes do. The newer ones are the ones that will produce healthy new growth. Prepare storage bins, boxes, or buckets, and prepare a medium in which to store your tubers. The most recommended media are peat moss, sand, vermiculite, and even shredded newspapers, or whole newspapers if you'd like. These will absorb excess moisture, from the surface of the tubers while preserving it in a sufficient amount so that they don't dry out and shrivel. Peat moss has always proven successful for us, so we will use peat moss today. If you want to really make sure that no fungus reaches your prized tubers, you can sprinkle cinnamon spice over your tubers. Cinnamon is a natural fungicide that will prevent any fungus from forming. You can also dip the tubers in a liquid fungicide. If you are saving more than one cultivar of dahlias, it is very important that you keep them separated and tagged at all times throughout all stages of this operation. It is very easy to confuse them and forget which one is which. When you come to planting them back in the ground, you will have no idea which one it is or what attributes it has to offer to your planting scheme. Have your tags ready in advance. You can keep the plant's records right on the tags. Write the name of the cultivar, the colors and description, height, habit, and if it requires staking. Write the year that you first planted it and the source from where you got it. And if you already have plans about what companion plants you'd like to grow it with. You should also label the box, bucket, or tote with the name of the cultivar. A simple way is to use painter's tape and a marker. Last but not least, pack your tubers in the media. Cover them and store in a cool temperature, anywhere from above freezing to about 10 to 12 degrees Celsius. A basement or a garage will work just fine. Dahlia tubers are root adaptations. They serve as storage tissues for starches that will feed the plant in spring, once it wakes up from its winter dormancy and is planted in the soil again. Happy gardening in all seasons! Thank you for watching.